is the role of parenting. But as we report in a few moments, there was more to his visit than that. We've been unmasking the new Michael Jackson and revealing the influence of his new friends.
If I had any feeling that those stories could be true, I would not associate myself with Michael Jackson.
Welcome back. It would have escaped the notice of no one this week that Michael Jackson was back in town and doing everything to live up to his wacko image. He's not been here for a long time, and this was no ordinary visit. On Tuesday, Jackson told the packed student audience of the Oxford Union about his new children's charity, Heal the Kids. With him were two new friends, a rabbi who offers guidance on sex, and the British-based spoon-bending psychic Uri Geller. Skeptics dismissed the whole event as a typical publicity stunt. After all, there were books to be sold, a wedding to attend, and of course, a career to revive. Others detected a new Michael Jackson, prepared to bare his soul about his own troubled childhood and to somehow reshape his image. So, what's up? What's the truth? Jonathan Maitland has been investigating.
He was once described by Bob Geldof as the most famous man on the planet, God help him. Michael Jackson was helping to publicise a book written by his two friends. Trendy Rabbi Shumley Boteach with the beard and the psychic Uri Geller. Three very surreal musketeers.
I think Michael automatically managed to create a mystique around him.
But the main reason for his visit was to launch a new children's charity with the help of Rabbi Boteach.
I think it's time that people really knew the truth, that this is not just a good man, this is an inspirational figure that most celebrities should emulate.
But not everyone thinks the star's new charity venture is such a good idea.
He's obviously so sincere about it. I mean, one questions whether there's really a need for a charity to encourage parents to hug their kids.
Mention Michael Jackson and people will talk about his love of children, his looks and his unconventional lifestyle. But there was a time when all he was about was music. What you have to understand about Michael Jackson, say those close to him, is that there's never been a time when he hasn't been famous. He is the child star who never had a childhood. And that, they say, explains a lot. Like the unusual sleeping arrangements, the off-the-wall choice of household pets, and his many other eccentric habits. Michael Jackson is, in short, a tabloid newspaper's dream.
Michael Jackson is a phenomenal showman, so therefore, to a certain extent, he's actually performing to his audience, and his audience is the media as well. And actually, not being available and actually maintaining an enigma is also fantastic for the image.
One reason why we're still talking about him is because of his relationship with Jordan Chandler, the 13-year-old who alleged he'd been sexually abused during a stay at Jackson's home. It was 1993, and the star's career and reputation were, it seems, in danger of being destroyed.
I am totally innocent of any wrongdoing, and I know these terrible allegations will all be proven false.
In the end, though, he settled out of court for a reported $20 million.
Michael Jackson has maintained his innocence from the beginning of this matter, and now, as this matter will soon be concluded, he still maintains that innocence.
The allegations were dropped, but inevitably some of the mud stuck. Unlike Jackson's marriages. He's had two, one to Elvis Presley's daughter and one to his nurse. She bore him two kids, Prince and Paris. Yesterday, another marriage ceremony, this time between Uri Geller and his partner, took place here at Geller's mansion in Berkshire. Jackson was the star witness. How did you meet Michael Jackson?
About 3.5 years ago, I was sitting in the house of Mohammed El Fayed, and Michael Jackson called him. And Muhammad held the phone and said, "Michael, guess who is sitting next to me? It's Uri Geller." So I heard, "Uri Geller!" And, you know, he handed me the phone and I said, "Hi, Michael, you know, I always wanted to meet you. You probably know about me and my powers," and that's how it started.
All I want you to do, Jonathan, is look into my face and concentrate, visualize the drawing.
He heard about a movie called The Matrix, and in The Matrix there is a segment that I think was basically inspired by me, where Keanu Reeves walks into the Matrix and children teach him how to bend spoons.
And I can see now something materializing.
There we were, Michael, myself and Prince, running around eating popcorn, watching The Matrix.
Yes, just visualize it again. Okay, I got something.
We talk about spirituality. What struck me very deeply is how spiritual he is.
This is what I drew earlier on.
There it is. I think he is on a journey. He wants to experience things. He wants to investigate. He wants to touch the unknown, the unusual, the mysterious, the powerful.
Well, what's Michael Jackson's reaction when you kind of pull out a drawing and replicate exactly what he's done a few seconds later?
His first reaction was, "Can you teach me how to do this?"
The third leg of the triumvirate is, like the other two, no ordinary Joe. Shumley Boteach is a kind of rock and roll rabbi come sex therapist.
There were things about him that just immediately appealed. For example, his humility. I mean, you expect a superstar of that stature to be somewhat aloof, a bit unattainable, perhaps even a bit arrogant. Michael was the exact opposite. He was instantly accessible. He was so shy. Michael is a person who has almost a divine gift in being uniquely sensitive to the blessing that all children represent.
This is the Oxfod Union at Oxford University, and normally only people with pretty impressive CVs get to speak here. Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Henry Kissinger and the Dalai Lama have all appeared here. Tonight, though, Michael Jackson is speaking. The fact that a pop star is appearing here is unusual enough, of course, but what's really raising eyebrows is the subject matter of his speech. Jackson's lecture to the Oxford Union was on child welfare and parenting. It was to launch a new charity, Heal the Kids.
I've never known anything like it. We've had heads of state here, all sorts of people. Nothing has prepared us for the amount of fans that are descending on Oxford. Road closures, police presence, media all over the place. It's just been an absolute nightmare.
During the speech, in which he called for a children's Bill of Rights, every child should have the right to a bedtime story was one suggestion, Michael Jackson got very emotional, especially when he talked about his dad. His father, he said, never told him he'd done a good performance, just an okay one. At the end, he sobbed. Right, well, that was a fascinating 30 minutes. The audience loved it. They gave him a 5-minute standing ovation. He was very frank, talking about his childhood, and very dramatic when he cried, or at least appeared to. And his heart appears to be in the right place. I found the whole thing fascinating, but curious. What would you say to those people who say, maybe Michael is not the person we should be listening to when it comes to being a role model on parenting?
Look, obviously, it's a bit controversial, of course, because of those accusations. But let me tell you this, I can only talk for myself. If I had any feeling, just a tiny suspicion that those stories could be true, I would not associate myself with Michael Jackson. No way.
Concerns have been expressed too over whether Heal the Kids, Michael Jackson's latest charity venture, will actually deliver. He may be actively involved with more good causes than any other artist in the world, but, say his critics, his charity track record to date, in Britain at least, doesn't bode well. Jackson's previous charity, Heal the World, was based in America. The UK branch got plenty of publicity to start with, but it ended in disarray. David Walcombe tried to organise a rescue package.
We never got a cheque. We never got any of the funding that we were expecting. And it was because the director of the US Foundation apparently was hospitalized and disappeared, and they closed down the US office, and we were getting letters, return to sender because address unknown. And all of that was happening. So it was very difficult for us because we simply couldn't make contact with anyone. And all the people in Michael Jackson's sort of music side organization didn't know what was happening. And so we had a lot of fruitless phone calls and simply couldn't find out what was happening. And the hopes that we'd had for, Michael Jackson becoming a champion of youth-led development never materialized at all, which was a disappointment to us.
The Charity Commission found that in its last 5 years, Heal the World in the UK contributed less than £5,000 to good causes. In the same period, almost £90,000 was spent on admin. The British trustees decided, quote, that it was not worth continuing the organisation in any form.
Launch of the charity this week, very laudable aims, as we all know.
Yes.
It's been pointed out that Michael's last involvement with the charity didn't exactly go that well, and it kind of got wound up. How do we know this one isn't going to go the same way?
That is absolutely not true. Michael's Heal the World Foundation did remarkable work, and he did huge benefit concerts, and he hit a world record that's in the Guinness Book of World Records about being one of the most philanthropic of all the Hollywood set. So whatever happened here in the UK, I have no idea. The Heal the World Foundation was based in California, and Michael has done amazing work. Huge airlifts of food to children in the most impoverished areas, buying hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of toys for children.
But what about the day job? Professionally speaking, Jackson is about to enter very choppy waters indeed.
With all the fuss over his charities and his unusual private life, it's easy to forget what Michael Jackson actually does for a living, which is sing. All right, he might be world famous, and let's face it, not many people can draw a crowd this big on a weekday night in Oxford. But the fact is, that fame isn't necessarily going to get him where he wants to be, which is at the top of the charts.
Jackson's first all-new album for 6 years is due out soon. But he has a problem. In pop music terms, he's been away for eons, and younger stars have taken his place. A lot is riding on this new release.
We've probably seen the best of him musically, but then it was never simply a musical project. It's a thing about stardom. It's a thing about an enormous drama played out in tabloids and played out on television. So the music is just a component to that.
Michael Jackson certainly impressed a lot of people at his lecture this week with his sincerity. But the cynics point out that there may be another factor. In PR terms, he won't have done the sales of his forthcoming album any harm at all.
Jonathan Maitland reporting. Last weekend, the bombers returned to Britain.